All right. I think it should work now. We should be ready to go. So first of all, hello everyone. We'll just wait a couple of seconds, and then we will start. Guido, thanks for making it in time. I know we have a busy schedule as well.
No problem.
All right, we see. Yeah, I would say there are a lot of people right now already in. So I say let's start. Thank you to all who made the time and are here. In case you have a conflict or a call right in between, we know that as well. We will send you the slides and everything afterwards as well, so you don't miss out or contact us. Yeah, and without further ado, the topic of today is the MES of tomorrow. It's a topic which is very relevant right now in the market. We see it in every corner. So lots of challenges are here. And we want to discuss how is this changing the role of the MES today into the future, and how we can use a data hub to basically implement a flexible manufacturing system. I'm here today with Giro Adrian from our partner NTT Data. And Giro, maybe you take a couple of seconds to introduce yourself and what's your background in MES.
Hi, Danny. Thanks for having me in the call. Yeah, Giro Adrian, part of the NTT Data solution company. We are interested in finding solutions to implement the right way to optimize our production since more or less 30 years in production environments on the way. Implemented for companies we would drive maybe the car off, and smaller companies and so forth. Currently totally focusing on vertical integration of production optimization together with Cybus.
Yeah, great to have you here. I, for myself, Daniel Rybkowski, leading the partner management team at Cybus. For those who don't know, we are a pure software vendor providing software which acts as a data infrastructure in between OT and IT with a high pressure on scalability and flexibility. And we have a lot of customers as well who are implementing or changing the MES as well. And that's the topic today. And before we start and go into the MES of tomorrow, we want to understand better what are challenges today, which we see based on the customer conversations we have, conversations with analysts and MES providers ourselves. And before actually going to that, I will start with a short question and ask you everyone to answer a question. What is the main MES challenge you are currently confronted with? Or if it's not you, then your customers, what do you see? Give us a short answer. And you have the possibility to answer between cloud migration and shop floor integration together, or adapting MES to individual manufacturing processes, or reusing OT and IT data for other purposes than the MES itself. Or if you see none of the questions are actually answers actually fitting very well, make sure to give us a comment. And all of the comments as well, we will comment at the end of the presentation when we go into the QA. As well, throughout the presentation, make sure to ask the questions. If you have a question on a specific slide, just write it down and we will get to you at the end.
Yeah, and the questions and the feedback is anonymous. Don't be afraid that we count on the feedback
Correct.
directly.
All right. They would say another 5 seconds and then we close the answer because we already have over 20 questions. If I see the correct answers, yep. All right. So biggest, and I don't know if you can see it as well, Gero. Biggest, that's why I want to read it. Biggest selection was actually adapting the MES to individual manufacturing processes, and then on the same level, cloud migration, shop floor integration, and the answer reusing OT IT data as well. And there were no comments as I've seen so far. So basically, those are the main challenges we see. And with that, let's jump into the challenges we see as well, which are exactly the ones you voted on and more. Starting with the first one, And I would like to hand this over to you, Gil. We see on the market a lot of modularizations going on, and as a service products which are questioning the automation pyramid. What's your take on that?
And just feeding back to what we've seen the poll, yeah. If you can't adopt your processes, or if you can't adopt your system to the processes, you have to find a solution. How can you afford better process adaptability? And this is how we see it, that modularization or having product optimization as a service is one of the huge and big challenges. Because if you go back in history, seeing the ISO 95 pyramid where we have very rigid setups, it's extremely hard to set up and to modularize or adopt an MES system. And fully agree, yeah, this modularization is one of the key challenges right now, and this we come to this later on. This is as well eating up a lot of money at the customer side to customize the current environment. And this is why we see this push modules, or having tiny little applications in the cloud. And everybody uses a handset, a mobile handset. And what is the biggest strength of a mobile handset? Applications. And the same is the requirement you have to have in the production environment, in your production planning.
Yeah, thanks, Gero. Another point we see heavily right now are aging platforms. So for all who didn't know yet, SAP announced that they will cancel the support of SAP ME and MII until 2028. And we have a lot of customer conversations right now talking about how they can integrate strategically their shop floor with SAP DMC, so Digital Manufacturing Cloud, and how to navigate that between basically different sites or one site and the cloud, and to reuse all the data again, as you've seen in the poll as well. You've seen that was the main challenge. And on the other hand, we know from various conversations with MES providers that they are heavily investing right now into modernization of the platforms. So really giving them a new microservice architecture, and some of them are as well putting some money into local platforms for easier app building. Yeah. Up to the next is we see a cloud migration for MES from 2021 to last year from 33% to 43%, and it's a strong increase. Guido, what is the main challenge you see when moving the MES to the cloud?
I think it's on one hand, and to be honest, and someone in the audience, we may support this message. It's a political topic. Yeah, we have the factory managers who are keen to see their data ensured and latency with a low latency in their production environment. And then we have the standardization-minded CIO IT company, CIO of the company who has to provide standard services. And this will lead to, of course, to discussion within the company. This is one topic, the political one. The second topic is really how can you be fast in your go-to-market? Yeah? Currently, if you have a standard MES system, which is a typical application service and server client architecture, you are not fast. And the cloud migration gives you that. And once again, you want to be fast with your data. You want to be fast with your applications. And this is the cloud traffic. And so for this is as well the political topic. And the third and the last topic is, of course, security and data availability concerns. Whenever you have a latency topic, you're keen to see your application very close to the shop floor. As soon as you have security concerns, you are very, very concerned having this on the cloud. But of course, the cloud is the one and only way to scale up fast and to contribute between factories. And this is, I think, this one of the biggest challenges. How can I standardize among factories? And this is these 3-4 challenges we see right now with our customers.
Yeah, thanks, Geo. Then maybe let's take a look into the actual factory and let's take a look on two challenges we see here. One is probably you see as well in your factories. We see innovation projects everywhere. So lots of stakeholders having their own digital agenda, different use cases they want to implement. And we see that two problems. So first is in kind of POC purgatory, so really POCs which are never seen the daylight, they're never being rolled out. And secondly, how easily can you make sure to access the data? If you put the MES in the center of your architecture, it's hard to get it out unless you do customizing and other things. But the question what you want to do in terms of digitizing and implementing an MES is you want to make sure that the data access is very easy to all of the stakeholders, so they can really actually execute new use cases fast and win time to market. And the probably still one of the biggest challenges is the last, or the so-called last mile integration. And Guido, as I know, you have actually hands-on experience with that. What's your take on this?
Yes, the funny last mile. As I told you before, yeah, you have your IT department. The IT department, they have all the standardization efforts. They want to plan, okay, when I have a standardized network infrastructure environment. And then you have these strange OT guys who are talking about SPS and interfacing and OPCOA and MQTT and whatever. And this is a little bit the problem. The diversity of protocols and the diversity of requirements and the diversity of security requirements is giving you really, really, really a big headache. How do you overcome the gap between these strange protocols who are talked by lattice and CNC milling systems and press systems, and then you have an IT router who understands TCP/IP. And TCP/IP for the IT guys standard. MQTT, yeah, I heard about it in my home automation. But then you have old S5 systems from Siemens, you have newer S7 systems, and they are costly. And how do you standardize the data transfer? How do you ensure the data transfer, a secure data transfer? And how do you standardize changes on the push button solution that you can update the data which are coming from whatever system into your IT environment, in databases, in dashboards, whatever. And this is really, really challenging. And the problem is as well that we have currently a lot of knowledge missing in the market due to the fact that we need a new type of people who understands this gap, and as well a lot of missing software here. And with that, Dani, hopefully this answers the question.
Definitely. And if someone from the audience as well has questions here, I just friendly reminder, put it into the chat or as well contact us afterwards. Those are the conversations we have on the daily for our customers and to go with NTT as well. So let's take a look based on those challenges. Where do we see the future of MES of tomorrow? So of course we can't predict the future 100%, but based on the trends and conversations we have, we see clear trends, and that's what I brought as well, Guido, for to see basically to show us where this might go to, what the different phases we see. Yeah, Guido, maybe you can walk us quickly through how you see that and how we see it in lots of customer conversations right now in the market.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Dani. The next 4 or 5 slides you see are public, and they are based on an investigation we made for BMW. This is based on an investigation project for BMW. They are very, very standardized right now because not having it too complex. Let's start with some of the boomer talk. Yeah, we have the classical ISO 95 pyramid. We have on top the ERP system. We have in the middle the shop floor MES system. We have downwards immediately either the SCADA PLC or the systems, the production system itself. This is a typical, sorry for that, old-fashioned stinky approach. Typical MES systems we have here is Siemens Ops Center, standardized architecture, client-server architecture, which is still running today, no problem at all. But if you want to have a flexible setup, bidirectional data exchange, forget about it. Yeah, it's not possible to have here bidirectional setups to aggregate, send order data into the shop floor, and vice versa. If we go to the next slide, and hopefully my cursor is now working. If not, Danny, can you please support me?
Yes, give me a second. There we go.
Thank you. As we've seen the history, the upcoming middleware, TIBCO, web methods, we saw a standardization and information exchange between systems. You can attach more systems. You can as well, for the first time, integrate securely suppliers. This MW means middleware. The middleware is in former times AIE, and as well the MES system integrators and the producers, they integrate, for instance, ActiveMQ. ITAC is a typical example. ITAC integrated a couple of years ago, not 20 years ago, a couple of years ago, ActiveMQ into their MES system just to standardize, to streamline the communication between northbound, westbound, and southbound systems. Southbound is on the shop floor, northbound is a ERP system, just to have a standardized interface for data exchange. But still, we are in the pyramid thinking, and still it's a challenge for the bidirectional exchange of data, and it's still a challenge to execute rules who are valid for the shop floor execution. And the next slide showed the, yeah, now we go. Thank you.
Click too fast. There you go.
Thank you. We have the next step is process automation, process integration. There are upcoming tools like CEP. Companies thought, okay, I make a BPMN environment, standardized processes, standardized process from the horizontal value chain. How do I integrate these BPMN thinking into the shop floor? And this means the middleware was extended towards tools like CEP, that they can automate processes itself, that you can much better integrate QS or QA, quality assurance processes, into your production. And this is, I think, the first step to overcome this rigid obstacle of the pyramid, just to keep the strict vertical integration. And then and you see the MES is going more to the side, saying, okay, yeah, and it's more to the module, maybe planning, maybe just only predictive maintenance, whatever. And so forth. The middleware is more and more important for this architecture. And the middleware is taking over process automation and data exchange. And if we now come to the last stage, the middleware is really the center of the world. And you see, it's a little bit like a spider in the web. And nowadays, I think everybody knows Kafka. If you've seen the invitations for this webinar, all the invitations, all the informations are sent by Kafka. Kafka was formally designed to have a big load and can handle a big load of informations. Kafka can be parallelized in a very, very easy way. And if you take Kafka or MQTT brokers on a certain level, then you have this fully modularized approach. You see, the MES is not valid anymore because you take out modules of an MES. And here we have a very great example, or a very good example, like Flexus. Flexus is a typical modular approach where you can say, okay, I need my route optimization module, I need my production optimization. On the shop floor level, you count on the connector just to have the data exchange between your shop floor standardized and your planning is standardized. And here you see this is the current architecture where in nowadays greenfield starts to be implemented. And broker in the middle to handle as well informations, business objects, making the data exchange and the data confirmation, as we told before. To have this last mile problem solved, we can integrate very easily north and southbound modules and have a very reliable, scalable environment. And so far you see, sorry to say, the MES is not existing anymore. It's just functional modules, what we in former days knows as MES. And this is the way how we see it currently. We have bigger implementation, architectural implementation at the automotive industry and as well in the mid-range customer industry. And this is as well the base for what we call for the future cyber physical systems, because this is definitely the backbone to establish cyber physical systems, machinery and systems with a brain, let's call it that, which will rely on data and a data hub. And this is a little bit the history and where we see the market is going on, and where we see as well the major backbone are data brokers. And now the question, where do you see yourself? Be self-critic, yeah? What is your current stage, and maybe as well, where do you want to go? What is your next stage? Let's go in this. What is your current stage?
As well, in case you are not a manufacturer yourself, make sure to answer it like how you see the majority of your clients, where they are currently at. That's helping as well. And as I see as the answers come in, okay, we see, so let's take another 5 seconds, but I can see already the biggest chunk here is, to be honest, at A, so still automation pyramid, then followed B, then followed C, and with the smallest amount, still middleware-centric IT architecture. So really we see it might be a trend going in that way.
Which is not surprising, yeah, because due to the fact that the investments were very, very high in the past, I think a lot of companies, yeah, they're afraid, what will I lose? I have a lot of sunken costs. It's as well a commercial discussion in the end.
That's something we just discussed today as well. Yeah. We see the biggest changes are whenever there are greenfield projects or bigger IT systems introduced, like an MES, ERP. So bigger changes really, and then the rethinking starts. And then what's up? People are thinking, right? How can we actually do it right now? What's best practice? And that's where we move toward the middleware-centric IT architecture. But before that, and it's something which is understandable as well, if you have production plants running and they are running efficiently and good, the motivation sometimes from the management or politically is not as big as if there's a big change. So simple as that. Now let's take a short look into how can this look like on the architecture level. So really this middleware-centric IT architecture in the factory. Here's the example we see to make it as loose as possible. So we have in the middle a data abstraction layer called a connector, which acts as the data up here centrally with some main functions as connectivity. You have an MQTT broker, as Gero explained inside as well, doing pre-processing, logic, and security, but really no applications at all. And that's the major point. So we can really loosely connect to all of the shop floor assets, but production networks as well. You can see here on the low an MES. It might be a whole MES. It might be as well as different MES functions, which might be as well provided through in the private cloud, like through an Azure or AWS. So really, what we achieved there is here that we can couple all of those assets very loosely and minimize like that customization cost for each integration use case. So really, once we have the MES and the shop floor connected, we can take the same data and directly reuse it for other applications in the cloud or an SAP integration or for ServiceNow. Or as well, if we are contributing to Catena X or Manufacturing X, all they need basically is a secure data connector. So really leveraging there as well security and data accessibility. And if you're asking yourself how to integrate it and why to integrate it that way, you always need to keep in mind it's not only implementation, it's as well operations. So how do you, once it's implemented, how do you operate it in running production? So we're looking at serial production, yeah? You need to make sure that management of the whole software setup is as easy as possible. And best practice here is to apply cloud technology into the factory. So using DevOps pipelines, using a central GitHub. So really making sure that when there's one change, you can globally steer it and steer it and control it, roll out, roll back, all of the things we know from the cloud business, what make AWS and Azure and Co successful. That's what we need as well here when we're looking at bigger digitization. And that's what we're looking at when we're having different MES functions in the future, because there are different stakeholders, different projects, which need different data at different time. With that, we brought an example as well with us. And I'd say, let's make it on point and sweet, which is one of our of our joint customers from the automotive space. And I know that we can as well talk about the name because until now it's a public success story. So maybe you can walk us real quick through what was the main challenge and how was it integrated, so we still have at the end some time for questions.
Yeah. No, thanks, Danny. The name is known. It's Krone. Everybody knows it. The trailer producer and agriculture producer in automotive. It's due to the fact they underlie their requirements for automotive certification right now. What was the challenge for Krone? Krone, they had to ramp up a new factory due to the fact that the space for their new production on trailers is extremely limited. Then they said, okay, we buy a new factory. Nice, green. But one of the challenges within the SAP process was as well, they had per process, welding, milling, quality assurance, whatever, dedicated users who gave orders into the MES system. And they say, hey, it's nuts, it's crazy. I need one welding prep guy. I need one coating prep guy. And they meant, can we just aggregate all the factory orders in one place in SAP and send them directly to the machinery? This was the second big challenge, to save cost, to save people, and to make it quicker. So, and we said, okay, and here you see, we don't have anymore the pyramid. Yeah, we have what we call enterprise IT. This is CRM system, this is a PLM system, this is SAP, of course. And in this particular case, as we started with the project, there's one guy in the work preparation department who press a button, please produce this part. And it started with a so-called sub-order and sub-task to weld a part. The sub-order has to go to the welding machine. Yeah, and this is why we call it sub-order and sub-task. And the order itself is routed via Kafka, and there's a business topic called order. And the machinery, this is a welding machine from a company called Close. The machinery is subscribed to this very topic and receives via Kafka, and in the end, the connector via OPC-UA, all the relevant order data directly from SAP within a tenth of a second. The machinery is doing the welding job, and while the welding is running, you see here a dashboard. Yeah? You see every centimeter of the welding line, you see the amperes, you see the humidity, you see the argon density within the process. We transfer two types of informations. We see, for certification purposes, a finalized welding report, which is stored somewhere, and we see online via JSON format the information in a dashboard. And the rules for the dashboard, what is to shown to whom, is as well routed via the connectware, because the rules are defined in the on-prem running connectware solution. And this gives us a really big advantage, because from a domain knowledge, the guy on the welding machine, he knows what is really important, and he defines and changes the data who will be sent to whatever recipient. This was in former times not possible, because the customer later on decided to go for Siemens Op Center as MES system, and the MDE, the machine data acquisition system, first, it was more expensive than the full solution, and secondly, it was extremely inflexible to aggregate all this welding data. And we decided to make an own dashboard based on the OPC data and the data which are coming directly from the machinery. And they're coming on request in real time. So, okay, the machinery is done, the welding is done, and the system, the closed system says, hey, I'm done. And as just below, you see this tiny little robot. This is a measuring machine from Zeiss. You say, hey, I'm now the next one. Please send me via an AGV the done welded system, and I will measure it based on the defined processes in the business object what we have in Kafka. The AGV is grabbing the welded system from the welding machine, is bringing this automatically to the measurement system, and the measurement system, fine. As the AGV is subscribed on the service task, he's bringing this into the stock and is organizing the information into Kafka, and Kafka then keeps it on his layer, and EWM from SAP is subscribed on this topic and says, hey, okay, now I know this was an okay system. I will bring this information, okay, part is done and ready to shipment. There is no MES in the middle. This is just Kafka-based, just connectware-based for the information exchange. Now we have an MES in the middle just to support the people planning. Fine. But the core information, what we had in previous times, MDE, BDE, in German, the machine data acquisition, the operation data acquisition. Done deal, it's done in the connectware. The quality data measurement is done in the broker and as well in the connectware. And so far you see, data is the key, and the data distribution and the data holding is just the key. And this is why we just need an MES tool for the people planning, for the so-called overtime bookings, and for the so-called booking of the requirement helping systems. The rest, data distribution, data transformation, and data acquisition is fully done on these two broker levels. And just to give you a little bit an sizing estimation, the team, we were exactly 5 people for less than half a year to implement this, and half a year due to the fact that we had a little bit of problems with the IT gateway on the welding machine and on the AGVs, because not always where OPC is then in, it's not OPC at its best. So far we had a little bit exchange the OPC adapters, but in the end, you can do such a project within weeks with skilled people, 5 in this case. If you need more details on that, please come to me, because this is a public source and the CIO of this company is happy to show things here. But I think this shows you how modularity, focus on data exchange, data apps, factory data apps, will bring you in really extreme short time frame at minimum cost and really in big success. And that's it for me. Danny, back to you.
Thank you. Maybe 1-2 small anecdotes, because I know we are over time. Just to share what's currently happening at the customer there. The people who were trained to build a center of excellence, they call themselves Industry 4.0 team, they're right now in preparation for rollout to the next factories all by themselves. So really they're taking the blueprint they built here in this Greenfield project and taking it to the other existing plants. And I know that one anecdote through the project was when basically all first welding robots and AGVs were connected, and they wanted to reuse the data for a new dashboard just for working out. The data was there, and within 11 minutes from let's check out, and the data was there, which was for the people there amazing. So we can actually, that's where we want to go at. We want to make data available, make it easy to work with, and not like it shouldn't be a project each time. Yeah. So knowing that we are over time, I'd still just do a small summary. I know there are some questions. I don't know if we can do all of them. We will collect them afterwards and answer them via mail. If you have some as well, make sure to post them right now as well, so we can get back to you, and as well answer them maybe right now for another 2 minutes, whoever has the time. And this is a short summary what we want to give you as a takeaway. Whenever you're looking at digitization, is the Greenfield project or MES introduction, a bigger IT system introduction, or in general, a bigger digitization agenda, make sure to use a scalable middleware so really that you can not only implement, but operate and manage all of this very easily, and ME modules, which are based on the actual needs you have. So that way you can minimize the customization and actually maximize operational flexibility. That's where the trend is going to. And if you need any assistance or want to talk through your own challenges, make sure to contact either Gero for NTT or me as well, and we will gladly help you on that way.
Yes.
Gero, any last words from you?
Yes, hopefully we have a project with the team, with the guys or ladies who are in this call. This is my wish. So having a good project and supporting the strategy of the company who are listening right now. This is the most important topic, and overcome old obstacles.
All right. Thanks, Gero. The questions we had, as I said, we'll contact you via mail, and you get as well access to the webinar afterwards as well. So thank you for taking the time. Looking forward to talking to you in the future.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, Gero. Bye.